Hi, so I'm Vivien Hamilton and I am an independent consultant and area manager with Arbonne. And I'm here today just to talk a little bit about my journey along with Richard Garside here, who is an executive area manager with Arbonne. So just to give you a little bit of background on myself. So about 15 years ago, I was in a corporate role. I loved my job. It was very, very demanding, but I was exceptionally well paid, which was all good. But when my family came along, I didn't want to be pulled from pillar to post with my job and my family. And I didn't want to only have 4 weeks off a year with them. So I gave up my job and my income that day. I didn't know anything about another opportunity, another way of earning money whilst I was not actually physically working. So obviously we made some compromises, it's been fine. But when they started going to school, my children, then I was looking around for something to do so I could still be at home with them, but contribute to the household. And so we decided to actually start investing in property. Obviously, when you invest in property, you've got to put thousands of pounds in. So our first property we probably put in, combined between the deposit and refurbishment, about £60,000. And for that, we then get a great sort of £200, £300 return every month from the rental income that comes in. So we've obviously got our mortgage to pay and all the other expenses, but we're getting between £200 and £300 a month from that. So that's been brilliant. And we've then continued to invest in property, and that's enabled me to stay off work the whole time. And that was really my first introduction to a passive or residual income. So about 4 years ago, Andy, my husband, and I, we were talking about how we'd like our lives to look in the future, and that we'd like a few more holidays, to give our boys a few more experiences, and also for him to be able to retire early and to have a pension top up. So we started looking at ways we could do this, and I decided that I would go and look for a job to contribute to the household income. And as I was looking, I literally just stumbled across Arbonne. I had no idea what Arbonne was, didn't even know anything about the business model. But when it was explained to me, I thought, that is absolute genius. And not only is it genius, but I can earn some money and still be at home with my family, which is just actually a real blessing. Because even though they're 14 and 15 now, they like having me around, and I quite like being around them too. So I decided to jump in with both feet, because actually it was such a low risk investment, but I could see that it would have potentially the same or greater returns to investing in property. So I started off and realised it's a great community of people who want to help you to succeed. So the mentoring was fantastic. And then I started to realise I was meeting very successful people who were earning a good income from Arbonne. And eventually I went to a convention, and that's when my vision was blown, because I was hearing about people who were on stage there, and they'd earned enough income to be able to open orphanages in Africa and help trafficked women in Haiti. And I thought, this is literally amazing. I have got something so special in my hands here. So I decided at that moment that really my vision now is to be able to earn enough so that I can actually give abundantly to charities myself. So I'm going to get to the top of this company. I'm looking forward to that. I don't know how long it'll take me, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, doesn't matter, but that's where I'm going. But right now I'm earning a good income with Arbonne. And not only that, because I have clients who are always buying regularly from me, and I also have a great team who I've mentored and coached and are becoming successful in their own right, they'll still be continuing to build their businesses. My clients will still be continuing to buy their products, even if I'm not around. And so Arbonne say, right, well, when you're gone, we'll pay your income that you would have received to your family, to your descendants. So it's actually an asset and a legacy that I've managed to build here, which is literally phenomenal. So I'm really excited about the future with Arbonne. Over to you, Rick.
Okay, so hello, my name is Richard. I'm an independent consultant and executive area manager. So I'm just going to take you back 10 years to when I first heard about Arbonne. So back then I was playing golf professionally, and that's really the only direction I saw for my life. So at that moment in time, I didn't really see a fit for anything else. And to be honest, I didn't even understand what this was. However, I did start to use the products back then and really, really fell in love with them. So it wasn't until 4 years later then when I sadly had to come away from golf and I turned to work. So I knew I wanted to work for myself. I didn't want to have to be answerable to someone else, I wanted to be in control of what I was doing. And at that point, I became an energy assessor. So I was 23, energy assessor, and I thought, right, I've made it. This is great. But honestly, what I was doing was I was working every hour I had. I was working days, evenings, weekends. I was trading my time for money. I wasn't actually building anything. I'd bought myself something that was harder than having a job because there's just no time off. You don't get paid to have any time off. And that was the fact of it. So once all my outgoings, my flat, my car, my insurances, everything else, once I'd paid for all those things, I had no money at the end of it either. So not only did I have no time, but there was no money to actually do what I wanted to do. So Arbonne then crossed my path again, and it was the same person who told me about it the 4 years before. And in that time, they'd made a massive success of this. And it was at that point that I thought, right, I really need to take a look at this. And when I did, it just made so much sense, and I just jumped in. So I've been part of Arbonne now for 6 years, and I can honestly say it's been an unbelievable decision. I've been able to build a full-time passive income around everything else I've got going on. So now 6 years later, I own an estate agent. We're very, very busy. We're based in Wilmslow, which is in Cheshire. So we deal with the, let's say, multi-million pound houses, the really amazing houses. But the people that can afford to buy these houses, they want me whenever. Whenever they ring me, they expect me to call. So although I absolutely love what I do, I'm tired constantly. I've always, no matter where I am, I've always got 2 phones just in case someone rings at 7 in the morning, 10 at night. I've always got to be on it. So that's as great as it is now. And as much as I love what I do, I don't want to do that forever because, who does want to be answerable at that point? But it's also helped me to do other things like invest in property. Again, if I was doing my energy assessing full time, there's no way I would have been able to do that. And I sort of link the two. Arbonne is a lot like property in many ways, in the fact that you're building a leverageable asset. So it's an asset based on what Vivien just said, but it's leverageable. So we're just going to explain briefly in a couple of minutes just how the business model actually works and how you can build that. So we're just going to share the screen and tell you a little bit about how Arbonne works. So Arbonne is a network marketing business, also known as a social marketing business. And it's something I'd never actually heard of, but I was doing every single day without even realizing it. And it's simply just a word of mouth recommendation, and businesses rely on it. So, and it is the most powerful form of advertising. So let's use a restaurant, for example. If you go to an amazing restaurant, the chances are you're going to tell your friends, whether it's 2 friends, 5, 10 friends, 10 friends. If they go, they're going to tell their friends. Now that restaurant doesn't come and say, oh, thanks very much, Richard, for telling your friends about our restaurant. Here's a free meal. Here's some money. They don't do it, but they heavily rely on it. Even so much so now social media is such a huge part of everyone's life. We'll check in. We'll say where we are, what we're doing. On Facebook, you can even ask for recommendations. Businesses rely on it. And that is how this works. So if you compare the 2 business models to a traditional business and a network marketing business, if it's a product, there's different stages it has to go through. So manufacturer, warehouser, wholesaler, retailer, then the massive costs such as the advertiser, and then us as the consumer will go in and buy that product. Now that product, obviously, as it goes through each of those processes, there's costs involved for those different companies because they've got staff to pay, they've got lights, heating, and they want to make a profit. And it actually equates to about 80% of that product. So if you've spent £20 on something, £16 could be the process, £4 the actual product of actually getting it to the market. Whereas we flip that on its head, we actually miss out the middlemen and we go from manufacturer and show people how to buy our product online, and it goes straight to them. So I'm going to be honest, I never ever saw myself being involved with a company of, skincare, cosmetics, nutrition, anything like that. But businesses, if you're going to get involved in a business, you want something that is consumable. People are using these products on a day-to-day basis. But what it means is because we miss out the middlemen, we can have a far superior quality product for a lesser cost because it goes from manufacturer straight to consumer. So on a product basis, that's amazing. You can have a better product for a lesser cost. But on a business sense, that's what really got me. It's a case of I can tell someone about a product once, they can absolutely, love that product. I show them where to shop, they go online, it goes straight to their house. I haven't, taken their money, ordered product, dropped it off. It's not that kind of business. It's a real slick business model. And the genius part is that every time they go online and order in the future now, so whether they buy monthly, whether they can carry on buying for a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, because I was the person that introduced them to that product, I get paid every time they reorder. So it's about building a consumer network over time that will then pay you residually, like property. That's how we're related to property. And then also growing a team and helping people do what you've done and helping them grow a secondary income or even a main income, and how we do it. So some people do events. I personally don't do events, but I've got people in my team that do and make a massive success from it. We've got social media. As I said, people are telling people what they're doing on social media every single day. And so much so, as it says there, cross-border. We're in 6 markets. We're in Canada, America, the UK, Poland, Australia, and New Zealand. I have I have clients in these countries because it's so easy to speak to these people in different countries now because of social media, because of Zoom, which we're recording this on Zoom now. And then also building it on a one-to-one basis. So whether it's a one-to-one on Zoom or whether you're sat in a coffee shop, having a coffee with someone, introducing them to a new opportunity or a product, you can build it to whatever level you want, really. So that was a very brief explanation of how the business works. Have you got anything to add to that, Vivien?
I think I'd just add, I think that multiple income streams are really the way to go these days, because we don't know what's going to happen in the world. We don't know whether or not we're going to be made redundant. We don't know whether or not we're going to fall ill, or that we're going to have to take time off or want to take time off for women, maybe to have families. Shouldn't be sexist. It could be the bloke that wants to stay at home with the children, or, just to be able to have more choice in life, to be able to go and do some different things and not actually be tied to a day job. So I think multiple streams of income, whether it be property, whether it be a business like Arbon, I think they all have their place today in today's world, because we need to build more flexibility and choice into our lives, and to have those cushions in the event that something untoward might happen. So I think just the very fact that, this is another stream of income that can be a vehicle to create what we want for our lives, for our dreams, is just so important, and something that everybody should think about. Even if you don't do anything today, just have a think about, what do you actually want ultimately in life, and how are you actually going to achieve that? How are you going to get that?